Hey guys, this is John with CheatSheetPros.com. Today we're going to look at our NFL best bets for week 4. We are also going to look at the cheat line, how we did last week, and look at some plays that the cheat line is spitting out this week. I haven't bet a lot of them yet, but I'm kind of monitoring them. So I want to do just kind of a quick tutorial on the cheat line. So the cheat line is right here in our cheat sheet. So it gives us a new way to calculate a potential difference between teams. And I calculated it into a Vegas spread, a projected score, and a total. So you can kind of look at it and get a difference. Now, I don't think there's any model that you're blindly going to just bet every single game it spits out. This is just something to use as an indicator to look at a game a little further. So what I did for this week, had to burp. I put a recommended play difference of 7+. So 7+ was kind of the number I used last week. And so you can see the difference real quick as we go through and we scroll through the games. It's going to show you the difference between the cheat line and what the actual Vegas line is. So the ones I'm monitoring this week are anything that's about 7 points or better. And again, I don't think the cheat line is what the game should be. It's just a different way to calculate it that's going to point some arrows that might make you raise your eyebrows. It sure as hell did for me last week. So let me show you what I did. So last week, I get excited right before the noon game. So I had about an hour and I'm like, okay, what can I do? So I pulled up the cheat sheet and I wrote down all the cheat lines for the noon games and said, okay, how can I look at these? Well, 4 of them jumped out and it's these 4 here. And they had a difference of 7 points off the Vegas line. So I said, hey, let me star these and, we'll just kind of see what they did. Well, I was kind of shocked at the results. So this first game we had up here, let me make sure you can see that on your screen. Okay. So we had the Chargers beating Kansas City 29-24, which you can see over here on the cheat score. I did not think that was going to happen, but I definitely was going to take the Chargers +7 with the defense. We had this as a cheat line of Chargers -5. They were getting +7, so that's a difference of 12 points. And the final, look at this, 30-24. They end up winning the game. Now, I assumed Kansas City was going to score at the end and win 31-30, but your +7 bet was pretty much locked in at halftime when they were up. So that was kind of a eyebrow raiser for me, but we projected 29-24. It ended 30-24. I'm happy with that. So then we come down here to this Cincinnati game. Line opens at Cincy +7, moves all the way down to 2.5. And you can see our cheat line opened at Cincy -6. So in our eyes, the wrong team was favored here. And we projected a score of 24-20 with Cincinnati winning. And they won 24-10. So we projected 24-18. The final was 24-10. Okay, raise my other eyebrow. I'm intrigued now. I want to look at this a little further. One thing I have noticed is that when Vegas lines move, they move closer to the cheat line and the cheat totals. So that kind of tells me we might be onto something just because we're pulling the line in our direction. So whatever we're looking at is working. So I got a lot of games I'm going to monitor this weekend. Game number 3 was Jacksonville. Arizona opened at 6.5. Moved out to 8 at the time I had ran it. Our cheat line said Arizona should have been -15, and we projected that score 32-17 for an easy cover. Now, if you remember, Jacksonville got a monster, I think it was a kick return touchdown right at the end of the first half. So they got 7 points that typically they should not have got. But we projected 32-17. Final was 31-19. Okay, both eyebrows raised at this point. And then the last game, Baltimore was -7.5, stayed at -7.5, and we had Detroit, half point, just say pick 'em. Hell, at this point, it doesn't matter. We're saying it's a close game. I was blown away. Of course, I did not bet this, but it said take Detroit +7.5, and we had it projected at 27.5 to 27, so we had it projected pretty tight. So you could imagine how shocked I was when the final was 19-17, and the +7.5 won. Now, given, if you look at this, it was 10-0 at halftime, Ravens, and they scored 17 all in the second half to kind of come back in and squeak a cover there. But it's something that, this cheat line. Okay, so this week I pulled it into our college football sheet. I talked about it on the college football sports betting video, and then we're going to talk about it again on the NFL Week 4 video. So let me go ahead and close this out. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at this. So this is the what do you call this? PFF green line. It shows the percentages of money. I ran it about noon today, and it's been sitting here because I got busy at work. But I have some big money that I want to just kind of look through on our sheet. So looking through here, it's got the amount of cash, the percentage of cash, percentage of tickets, spread, money line, totals, etc., etc. So all these games are kind of so-so, back and forth, 60, 70%. But when a game is 70 and 80% and above, I went ahead and circled it and I underlined the total. So the ones we're going to look at first on the cheat sheet is Tennessee's getting 81% of the cash at -7 and 76% of the tickets. The Bears game, Detroit is getting 84% of the cash, 74% of the tickets. Seattle, 80%, 70%. And then Baltimore, 87-80. And then Green Bay, 83-82. And then Tampa, 91 and 96. So 91% of the money is on Tampa. And then 96% of the tickets is also on Tampa. So they are just taking a huge lopsided swing there. So the first thing I want to do is run through our sheet, look at these games. And then as we go through them, if it's a cheat line game, we'll note it. And then at the end, I'm going to show you the 2 bets I've made so far this week, and then the cheat line bets that I'm monitoring and may wager on depending upon how my Saturday goes. I have a lot of games I like in college this week. So the first game we're going to look at is Tennessee and the Jets. So let me pull this up. All right, Tennessee Jets we have. So line open, Tennessee -6.5, now -7. Bobby Index has -7.5. Cheat line has 5.5. So this is not a cheat line play. We've only got a difference here of 1.5. Me personally, I love Tennessee in this game. I think they can win it. It is part of a bet that I made that we'll talk about later, but we got it projected around 25-20, 26-20, pretty close to the spread. The main reason is the Tennessee defense has given up, where's it at? Oh no, the Jets defense, or Jets offense, has scored not very many points. They're 30th in offensive yards per game, and you can see Tennessee's at 382. They rank 15th in offensive yards per game. Defensively, the Jets haven't been that bad. Tennessee, they've given up some more. You can see on the road they gave up 400 yards, so their defense is not quite as par. But again, I'm not worried about the Jets, but all in all, if you put these numbers together and calculate them, it's going to say, hey, Tennessee's about 100 yards better. For NFL, the league average is about 15 yards per point. That's going to be anywhere from 5 to 7. That's what the Vegas spread is. So it is a game that I have on here, but it's not a cheap play. So the play that I'm doing, I'm teasing Tennessee down on a 2-team 6-point teaser, taking it down to Tennessee -1. And then we'll get to the other game. So as far as this, Tennessee getting all the money, yes, I get it, but laying 7's a lot. So I'm going to tease it down. I'm not going to lay the 7 as of yet. Sorry, I've had a scratchy voice all day. Over here in the Detroit game, Detroit's getting a lot of money, so this is the second game I want to go through and show you. So we got here, let's see. So we got Detroit, Chicago. So Detroit opened at +6 and has moved down to +3. Well, you can see here we got a recommended play with a difference of 10.5. So this is going to be a cheat play because we're over 7. So our cheat line has Detroit -7.5. No, I don't think the line should actually be 7.5. I think this one's a little closer. The Bobby Index here at Chicago -2. And the line's -3. So it's not too bad. But with a cheat line this far skewed towards Detroit, piques my interest. So I wish I could get 3.5, but 3 I'm fine taking. I don't mind it. It's one of the games that we are going to monitor, take a look at. The main reason is, look at here at the offensive yards per game. We got 350 per game for Detroit and only 197 for Chicago. Now, this is a cheat line play. However, this is what I mean by an indicator to look at the game. So if you know anything about Chicago, Justin Fields played last week and got obliterated, so they pretty much had no yards, so that's skewing this number down in only 3 games. So that's kind of the red flag in the background, number 1, that's triggering this play to Detroit. Now, I still like a play on Detroit, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying the 7.5 number is a little inflated to 10.5. I don't think it should be that high because I would throw the game out last week. Also, Nagy's not calling the plays anymore. When Nagy calls the plays, I think I heard Brad Evans on Yahoo Sports today talking about they score an average of 18.2 points per game, but when the other guy's name, and I apologize, I can't remember, when he calls the plays, and he's going to call them this week, they score like 28.6 points per game. So it's drastically different. So I think they'll have better play calling. So those are two red flags. One, they're switching the play caller. Two, this game is skewed a little bit. But again, Detroit plus 3.5, not terrible. So we're going to watch it and kind of see what happens. So coming over here to the next game is going to be the Seattle-San Fran game. I'll just go ahead and save the anticipation. This game is a pass for me. A lot of money here on Seattle. Opened at 3.5 down to 3. So Seattle plus 3 is getting the majority of the money. Bobby Index has it about pick'em. Spread of 3. That's pretty much the same thing. Cheat line 2.5. Spread 3. I think this is a good line. I, with my heart, lean Seattle here, but again, I'm not going to play it. My cheat line has it pretty close to the Vegas spread, so I'm just going to watch it as a fan. So going on, we have the Denver game. So this is an interesting one. So 87% of the cash is on Baltimore, and 80% of the tickets is also on Baltimore. So let's take a look at this game because our cheat line is going to be different. So we got a difference of 7 here. Line opened at plus 1.5 for Denver, moved out to -1. Bobby Index has it about the same. Cheat line has Denver -8. So, whoa, that's an eyebrow raiser there. We got it projected 31-23. Well, if you look at this, look at the offensive yards per game, 424 to 387. Denver's not that far behind them. They're, 40 yards. I mean, that's about 3 points, the equivalent. And then, but the defensive side, this is where you get your skew at. So Baltimore's given up almost 400 yards per game. They've been a sieve on defense, especially in the secondary, where they're giving up 314 pass yards per game. But Denver, they're only giving up 221 total. So they're giving up 59.3 rushing and only 162 in the air. That's insane. So this right here is going to skew the yards over to Denver -8. So again, I'm not saying Denver's going to win by 8, but I'm saying I'm sure as heck going to lay the 1 and feel pretty good about it. I think this game could go either way. The average public bettor is a loser, so if there's that much money on Baltimore, I don't mind fading the public and going Denver here and taking a shot. Why not? Bridgewater's been fantastic, and that defense is unbelievable. So this is the second cheap play that we have. So going on to Pittsburgh Green Bay, we got 80 and 80, 2 80s for Green Bay, and Green Bay. Green Bay opened at 6.5, still 6.5. Bobby Index has -2. We got -1.5. We got it around 22-21, 23-21, somewhere in there. It would lean to taking Pittsburgh plus the points, but at a difference of only 5, I'm probably not going to mess with it. I'll monitor it, watch it, kind of see what happens. But I'm going to fade it at this point. I mean, I kind of lean Green Bay, but do you really feel good giving Pittsburgh, almost a touchdown? Nah, not me. Yardages, they're about the same offensively, 308, 304, allowing 354, 330. I mean, their yardages are almost identical, but yet I have to give a touchdown to the other side. No. If you wanted to tease Green Bay down to pick them, that's fine. I wouldn't have an issue with that. But Pittsburgh's, they're a fighting team. They're always going to hang in there, and I'm just not sold either way on it. So going over here to the most interesting game of the weekend, Tampa Bay and New England. Tom Brady gets to go back home. I got to listen to them talk about that a lot on the radio today. So line open, Bucks -5.5, now -6.5, 91% of the cash on Tampa and 96% of the bets. Bobby Index has 5.5, so we're kind of right there with Vegas. Cheat line has it the other way, has New England -1.5. So that would be a red flag for me. So it does recommend to play because it's an 8-point difference, and it's basically because of Tampa Bay's defense and how much they've been throttled. So if you come over here, Tampa Bay has about 100 more offensive yards per game. What's that, 90-something? We'll just round it up, say 100. And defensively, New England's only given up 282, and Tampa's giving up 402. So that's going to skew this number because you have to think about the opponents they've played. Well, Tampa Bay just got lit up by the Rams, but they did go out and sign Sherman, so they're going to get some help on defense. So even though this recommends a cheat play, I'm going to throw it out the window just due to those numbers. There's no way to calculate the number of Tom Brady returning home and yada, yada, yada. But I am going to tease the Bucks down and kind of go against mine from -6, -7 down to pick 'em -1. So one of my plays is Tennessee and Tampa Bay, 2 teams, 6-point teaser. Take each team down to -1, 1.5, 2, whatever you get it at. Basically for them to win by, a couple points. I like that. That's my first play. And then I think we've got all the green lines. The other notable ones talk about Detroit, Chicago. 97% of the money, 97% of the cash is on the over. Denver, 93% is on the over. Seattle, 90% on the under. And Arizona, 95% on the under. I thought those were interesting. So let me go ahead and throw that out. So some other games that I wanted to look at on the cheat line. Well, here, I'm just going to go ahead and save the anticipation and give them to you, and then we'll look at them. So these are the 2 bets that I've made so far. 2 teams, 6-point teaser, Tennessee -1, Tampa -1. I've got that for 2 units, and then I did a straight bet on Philadelphia +7 for 2 units. And then these are the cheat bets that we're going to look at and monitor, and we'll flip through them real quick. But we got Lions +3, Denver, Carolina, Philly, Arizona, and Las Vegas. So let's run down and take a look at these real quick, and we might have a video that's sub 30 minutes. That would be fantastic. So we've looked at Denver, we've looked at Pack, we looked at Tampa. So Dallas is the next one on the list. So let's go to Zeke. Zeke, where'd you go? There you are. Okay, line open Dallas -4.5. It moved a point over to Carolina. Or line open at 5.5. Now it's down to 4.5, moving towards Carolina by 1 point. Bobby Index has Carolina favored -1.5. Now, there's no way to put a number on CMC being out, but that would be a red flag. Anyone that watches football, they know who CMC is, and losing him is going to hurt the offense, so take it with a grain of salt. Cheat line has this as -10, and they're getting +4.5, so we have a difference of 14.5. So whatever the number is for CMC being out of the game, I'm going to go ahead and roll with Carolina +4.5 because it's sure as heck not 14.5 points. So when we look at this, both teams are fantastic on offense. 390 yards per game, 416 yards per game, 2 stud offenses, but the defenses are a different story. Carolina is only allowing 191 yards on defense. Now, I think I did hear Brad Evans say they're going to miss one of their corners this weekend or a linebacker or somebody's out, but I haven't dove into that yet. But they're first in rush, the least rush yards allowed per game at 45 and least pass yards per game at 146. So Denver's getting up 402 yards, which is 26. So I think the defense can keep Carolina in this game. So +4.5 is the way we are going to monitor for the cheat line. The next game we're going to look at is Philadelphia, and this pains me because anyone who's followed me, I live in Kansas City, and of course, you have to be a Chiefs fan, and Patrick Mahomes is amazing, but our defense blows ass. So right here we can see line open at 6.5. It moved to 7. We have a recommended play of 11-point difference. Off the top of my head, nothing's changed. Everything is as it is. I believe Kansas City was 1-11 or 1-13 ATS and 0-3 this year. So pretty much anything that's close to 7 points, I got to take against Kansas City. I posted that in my video and my article last week, is take it with the Chargers. Chargers easily had that, with the points in the bag. Bobby Index has Chiefs -4, but we can get 7 on the other side. Cheat line has Philadelphia -4, and that's basically being skewed because of Kansas City's defense. So when we have Philly -4 and they're getting +7, that's a difference of 11. So we got this about 28-24. Now, no, I do not think Philly's going to win this game. I think it's going to be more of a flip of 28-24 Kansas City, but I think Philly can hang within 7. And if this game gets to 7.5, I love it. But I can take that many points and still cheer for my Chiefs and be fine. Offensively, both teams are decent. Philly's coming off of a bad game. But defensively, Philly's only given up 315 yards per game, but Kansas City's getting up 430. So that's your difference there is the Philadelphia defense. Can they slow Kansas City enough to stay within 7 points and maybe make a run at the end of this game? So that's kind of what we're banking on. There's nothing else that really jumps out at me here. So Philly, again, that is one of our cheap plays that we have here. So we got two more. We got Arizona and Vegas. So Arizona is playing the Rams. So I thought this was kind of interesting. So this is almost like a letdown spot after the big win for the Rams last week. So line opened at Arizona +6, moved down to 4.5 pretty quickly. So we have a recommended play because it's a difference of 10. Bobby Index has the Rams favored by about 1.5. Cheat line has this game as 30-25, 31-25, somewhere in that way, with Arizona winning. Now, again, this is just used to create a flag to look at a play and determine if you want to bet it or not. I do not think Arizona is going to win this game by 5.5 points. They may, but I think they can stay within, the 4.5. That's kind of what we're looking at. This is just pointing us to a number. And if you notice, if these two teams were blindly out here and we say, okay, Arizona's -5.5, this line opens at +6, where does it move? It moved towards our line. It moved towards Arizona 1.5. So again, it's moving to the cheat line. And one of the keys here is as soon as you get the sheet, if you look at it, you can kind of tell which way lines are going to go. And it's got a pretty good indication of heading that direction. So cheat line play on Arizona +4.5. And then let's go ahead and take a look at this last game. So this has moved to 3. It was at 3.5 a while ago when I wrote it down. That's why I wrote down Vegas +3.5. I probably won't bet it at 3, but since it is a primetime game, I take that back. It's a primetime game. I'll probably end up betting it at something. So line opened at 3, went to 3.5, went back down to 3. I think this is a real interesting game because both of the teams are playing really well right now. As far as index rankings, you can see they are pretty much back-to-back with one gap in between them. And we have a difference of 8.5, so we're saying Vegas should be favored by 5.5 points over here. And we got them winning 31-25, 31-26. So taking the +3. On this one, I probably won't if it's at 3. 3.5, I will at 3. I'll just take the money line and hope for a little bigger payout. Offensively, Vegas has been outstanding. 471 offensive yards per game, which is number 1 in the NFL. And Chargers have been fantastic too at 394 yards per game, so 1st and 9th. And then defensively, they're almost identical, 355, 371. So really the only difference here is about an extra 90 yards on offense by Vegas. And with a basic, 15 yards per point, you're looking somewhere around 4 or 5. But you're looking at Vegas being favored 4 or 5. So then if you knock it down and you add some points for the Chargers' home field advantage, which I think Vegas will get a lot of home field there, so I don't think it's as big of an advantage. But now you're still talking about, an even game, but I'm getting a field goal or field goal and a half with Vegas. Cheat line play is going to say take Vegas +3 or 3.5, whatever you get it at. I would probably hold off and see if you can get 3.5 because this line tends to move around. So let's go ahead and recap. So the games that I like, I have 2 plays, Tennessee and Tampa Bay, 2 teams, 6-point teaser. I got this for 2 units. And then I took a straight bet, Philly +7 for 2 units. That's all I have personally bet right now. The games that I'm watching for the cheat line bets is Detroit +3, Denver -1, Carolina +4.5, Philly +7, Arizona +4.5, and Vegas +3. Now my plan is Saturday morning while I'm waiting for college football is to go through and start looking at some totals that I may like. And every week I do one big 3-team 10-point teaser. I just love those. Those are just a blast to watch. I mean, you can win most of them. When you lose, you get reamed. But anyways, it's a lot of fun. So good luck this weekend, guys. And I'm going to go drink some coffee.